number of years ago, I met an epidemiologist at a scientific conference in Whistler, British Columbia. Epidemiologists study the onset and spread of diseases, and this one was studying how populations native to the Amazon basin were exposed to mercury pollution. During one of the afternoon breaks, we took a hike on a nearby trail together, and we're talking about our research. I learned that the reason she became interested in this area of study was because she grew up in a native community and experienced firsthand the smoke and pollution that deforestation caused. She wanted to understand how it was affecting the people who lived in the community, her friends, family, and neighbors. Though we lost touch after the conference, her research and the reason she was pursuing it stuck with me for years. Many years later, I had the opportunity to study in Brazil. I developed an expertise in examining how mercury moved from soil into the air, and I thought about applying it to this situation I'd learned about years earlier. In essence, I was interested in how deforestation in the Amazon affected the release of the metal mercury from soil. While I didn't have any experience working in the Amazon, I found a great collaborator who had similar interests, and we partnered together. We both looked for funding to support the project. I gathered equipment and materials to bring to Brazil. My collaborator provided access to her lab. She found 2 students to help us carry equipment into the field and prepare the site. And she also put us in contact with yet another collaborator who had received permission to cut down a small patch of the forest in a remote corner of the jungle. When we finally made the multi-day trek into the jungle, I was both surprised and happy to find that we weren't alone. We were actually part of a much larger project in which multiple researchers had come together to study the consequences of deforestation. At least a half a dozen different research groups had traveled to this same small station in the Amazon to study and understand different aspects of deforestation. There were climate scientists who were quantifying the emission of carbon dioxide from the burning forest in order to understand how fires contribute to climate change. There were researchers who were there to compare satellite pictures of the fire to the measurements of temperature and intensity taken on the ground to calibrate a satellite-based technique for detecting and measuring the many fires that occur across the Amazon. And there were biologists studying the changes in insect populations after the fire to understand how deforestation affected local ecosystems and food webs. There was a wonderful array of people who brought different perspectives to the work, perspectives that I'd never considered. Diversity, the diversity of people studying different disciplines, as well as the diversity of backgrounds and experiences, is essential to science, as it adds creativity and ideas we might not otherwise have considered. I might never have thought about studying in the Amazon had I not met my epidemiologist friend years earlier. And I certainly could not have done it without my colleagues in Brazil. Similarly, my colleagues in Brazil might not have thought about studying mercury pollution in the way I was proposing had I never contacted them. The personal stories of people are critical to science. A person's background, the community they grew up in, their life experiences, places and things they've seen, add a diversity that strengthen all of science and help foster ideas and studies that wouldn't be possible without them.